Bum 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 Dear Rick Berman, read the script. Seems pretty good. You know you've used Zephram Cochrane before in some weird TOS episode where not gonna lie, he got a little creepy. So, I mean, I'll shoot the movie if you want. I'm getting 2 paychecks. But you sure you want to do this? Well, it's not like the internet exists yet, so who's ever going to go track down that old episode? Sincerely, Jonathan Frakes, December 31st, 1995.
Now I will. Welcome, everyone, to Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies. I'm your host, Captain Matt Ross, and I'm with my, of course, musical co-host, XO Michael Pontone, and he's singing First Contact's theme song, if you couldn't tell. How you doing tonight, Mike?
XO to my Captain Matt Ross. Not bad. We've had a little hiatus. I did a marathon. Some cruel people say I walked it. I didn't. I ran a 10-minute mile, which is very slow for me, but still.
Hey, you did well. You know,
I died. It was horrible conditions. It was 45 minutes slower than my fastest marathon, which marathon runners out there know that's a brutal, brutal handicap.
Well, I'll give you 2 excuses. It was hot, and 2, it was in Atlantic City. And, you know, Atlantic City's seen some better days. I will have to tell you that much. A lot of the casinos are gone. But it was good to see you and friends and so forth. We had a good time. I made a short of it on those of you who haven't seen it yet. Just the beginning and ending of Mike running. We had a great time, and I still think that, it's quite an achievement. I think, Mike, you did an excellent job. I'm proud of you, XO. You can have the next two days off. You have shore leave to Riza.
Oh, boy. Yeah, okay. I'll do it again. 5 marathons. 10.
10.
It was very hot. It was like Kronos during the Praxis disaster hot. It was not a good time. I've run. This was my 10th marathon. My time was 4 hours and 10 minutes. My fastest time was 3 hours and 25 minutes. And I did another marathon this year, which was 3 hours and 49 minutes. I was 21 minutes slower a few months later. So, all to say, it was a rough, sad, painful time. But
I thought it was,
my captain was there.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I got to sit down, and, I had some drinks, and it was wonderful to sit down and watch you sweat it out. And, walked the boardwalk, got some saltwater taffy. It's delicious. It was really rough on me. You don't know how hard it was to eat that candy. I will tell you, though, this is the first time in my life that the Waze traffic guidance told me to go through Staten Island to get through to the 5 boroughs of New York, or actually 4 boroughs of New York. It was 2-hour delays to get to a 2-hour delay. It was like ridiculous. I actually called home and said, I'll be home by 7, 8, 9, 10 maybe. Yeah.
New York traffic is no joke. But listen, that was that horrible marathon on the surface of the sun. I needed Beverly Crusher's heat shields there. Was the, tied with the second most painful thing that I was exposed to in the last 2 weeks. This episode, what the hell's going on? Just when I thought that TOS couldn't get further back on women's rights, this is what we got.
You got a sex cloud. What could be wrong with sex clouds? I mean, there are clouds all over the place in modern science fiction and superhero
We're going to get into it. This is what I'm seeing. Yeah. I'm just letting you know what I'm seeing from 1,000 yards up, right?
Yeah.
Space cloud delays critical care for a very learned, important woman. She dies, but it's okay because the space cloud gets to use her body to have sex with her stalking crush.
Hey, it's terrible. I said to you it was more intellectual, well, in a weird way.
What's wrong with the show?
This is about love, man. It's about love and feelings. Don't you have love and feelings in your heart?
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
For alien sex space clouds, Michael?
No, and what the hell is up with the recycling? Like, that's a fascinating thing that I've seen from going on this journey with my captain here throughout all of the old TOS. How much Gene Roddenberry just plagiarized from himself and recycled ideas where the exact same thing happened in the motion picture.
Well, except remember, this happened a little bit before the motion picture. Motion picture 77. But
I know. He plagiarized from himself in this.
Except this
he took
Gene
this.
Roddenberry.
It doesn't matter. It's his show.
Well, okay. Well,
that means he just plagiarized in general.
Gene L. Kuhn wrote this story, actually. Gene L. Kuhn liked to borrow things from all over the place.
Borrow.
Yeah, well, it did borrow it. I mean, there's something more similar to this with the idea of the alien cloud taking over a dead human body. There was an Outer Limits episode from 1997. We could get into that, or I can mention it a little bit later. But let's just get right to the story. It's not called Sex Cloud. It's called Metamorphosis. It's from July 13, 1968, and it's directed by Ralph Solinsky. He's actually a pretty good director. He did your other favorite episode, the one with the spores, This Side of Paradise.
Oh, dear.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle, all one color. No keys where the pieces fit in. Why?
But Gene L. Kuhn wrote it. But let me read you there's two things. I'm going to actually read something out of order that's from our Bible of books and stuff, but there are a lot of interesting things in this, but the two things I want to read to you is the TV Guide close-up from July 13, 1968. It says, the officers of the Enterprise take part in a strange drama born of an alien's love for a human being. That's pretty close. I'm just reading you one paragraph on that. I will tell you that they misspelled the name of the other main guest star in the TV Guide. It goes, the sole human inhabitant is Zephram Cochrane, as opposed to Zefram Cochrane. That's what this one, where they meet the inventor of the warp drive. There are a lot of retcons between this and later Star Trek, but the thing I really want to read you is a review from the News Journal of Ohio, because the reviews, the review
I like
says,
Ohio.
Something about edging in Ohio. I don't know. Metamorphosis. An offbeat love story. Pulled off course, our heroes land on an asteroid inhabited by a once famous space explorer, presumed dead for about a century.
Offbeat love story.
Right. As the story unfolds, they learn not only what has kept the man alive for all these years, but why. It's a tale that is very unusual, even for this series.
No shit. By the way, so as I always say that there's often, there are someone missed pages. Some pages fell out, like Catspaw. The intern was walking to the old photostat machine, and 10 pages slipped out and fell into the furnace, into the memory hole. In this, someone left something in that they forgot to excise. The
story?
No. The fact that this is Zephram Cochrane has nothing to do with the story. The fact that he is the father of warp drive is zero to do with this. He could have been any explorer who got marooned on this planet.
You mean he could have been Throckmorton Winkerbean? I just made up that name.
Yes,
wait,
could have been Throckmorton.
Whoops. Yes. Wait, I have one other review to read to you. It's just because it's so it's humorous to me. It says, credit Star Trek with some good imaginative stories, and then duck when this far-out story launches your way tonight. Are you ready for a love affair between a man and a cloud? No, it is not the man who loves the cloud. It is the cloud that loves the man holding him in its or her jealous arms. It takes Captain Kirk to convince the cloud, honest, to let him go, or something. That's an extreme example review, but it's 100% on the nose.
Listen, I think it was a good idea. I think it would have been fascinating to come across a person and the only other life form is like a cloud, but not like a
Right.
cloud, like Aurora Borealis, right? Imagine if Aurora Borealis could talk to a person. And Aurora Borealis was all alone on the planet and managed to find someone, and they kept each other company. And yeah, maybe they do dream about being able to like be physically intimate with each other. Why is it got to be Zephram Cochrane, and why do they have to essentially kill a woman to make this happen?
Well, it's a lot of weirdness in this. I mean, it starts off with, why is the captain, the executive officer, and the chief medical officer, and the assistant commissioner who's trying to negotiate a peace treaty on a warming planet on a shuttlecraft? Why not bring the whole ship along? That's number one.
That didn't bother me. But my whole thing is, again, it's like you see good snippets of feminism here, where you've got a powerful woman who's not taking any shit. She's attractive, but she's very like, hey, I was going to help these people. There was a 1 in a billion thing that occurred to me, so I have to be sick. So I'm a little testy, but I'm professional. Just get me back so I can get treated so I can get back to it, right? Great. The tone of the show is that it's better when she loosens up and dies and gets the space cloud in her. Matt, the tone of the show, the thesis of the show is, isn't it better off that she's not such a battle axe anymore? It's awful.
Well, I think I look at it more like she was sick. I know what you're saying, and I think you're looking at it from a modern view. I don't think that's what this was trying to convey at all. Because
no, Captain, it's not a view. It's she goes from being angry to being happy after she's dead and inhabited by something else. There's nothing left of her in there.
Well, no,
she's not a diplomat anymore. It's just a cloud.
Well, yes, that's quite true. That part of her is dead. In fact, her character dies. But you're jumping so far ahead because you hate this episode, which is fine. But she's a competent diplomat trying to stop a battle on a planet, but she's also blaming the Starfleet for giving her wrong injections, specifically the medical department.
I was sent to Epsilon Canaris 3 to prevent a war, Doctor. Thanks to the inefficiency of the medical branch of the Starfleet, I've been forced to leave before my job was done.
That's
Bit of the true.
That's something, I don't know if it was McCoy or not, but my main question again is, why is only one little shuttlecraft taking this very important diplomat? And again, why are the main command staff going? That is a trope of Star Trek, so I let it have a pass. That's, our main stars. The cloud thing is very weird, just grabbing them out in space. By the way, what did you think of that opening where they're on that ship? She's giving them crap.
The Galileo.
Yeah, it's the Galileo again. They got to get their money's worth. Remember, Ertl made it for them, and they spent good money on it from, the Galileo 7. This was actually going to be called the Shuttlecraft Edison. But I'm glad that they reused the Galileo. What did you think of that whole opening, where they're flying along and that cloud grabs them? It's not the same effect.
Beautiful opening.
I loved it.
No, I know. I like it. It's it's kind of similar to Apollo's hand grabbing them. But no, I liked it. I liked that, and there are little touches. And I always like when I'm 1 second behind a story. I'm looking at this and I'm like, I can't remember. Do those windows open? And then as soon as I think that the window's open,
Yeah.
and I'm like, all right, it's a good, interesting design.
I also like the set on the planetoid that they land on. They land on with the purple skies, even on the...
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, that is Jerry Finneman, although they did purple it up. But this is all obviously done on one set. But there's a lot of photographic trickery, like shooting the character who plays Zefram Cochrane, who they don't know when they crash landed there, through a hole in like the fake rocks, makes the set look bigger. And they use this thing called a 9mm lens to have it a long angle, so it looks like he's farther away than he actually is. So there's a lot of traffic,
Captain,
trickery. Excuse
me. I thought that, I thought that they were doing a really good job of that. And in fact, I was remarking that these, cardboard set polyester rock shots are better than TNG. And it makes me wonder, if they had all these tricks, why didn't they do this in every show?
That's a good question.
Like in every show where they had a vast vista.
Yeah, that is a good question. I mean, but here I think they did it very well. It looks like he's like several hundred feet away. He actually isn't. It's it's one big giant set. It's a studio set, obviously on the Paramount lot. But he looks a lot farther. Like when you see him like walking towards the shuttle through the hole in the rocks, That's pretty amazing. But that's just, again, changing the camera angle. You could say that this episode, by the way, does exhibit more misogyny than most, by the way. I just want to take a quick aside out, because when we do meet Zephram Cochrane, he sees the Commissioner Hedford, goes, like a glass of water to a thirsty man type of thing. Yeah, that's kind of...
But I don't begrudge
but...
a man who has been alone for so long.
Yeah, no,
I don't begrudge a man who's been alone for that long to be, happy to see a beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the ending, man.
Oh, well, let me just talk about our characters. Zephram Cochrane. Now, you'll notice that there are some changes here. Zephram Cochrane obviously looks different than the Zefram Cochrane from First Contact. In First Contact, that's the movie starring James Cromwell as Zephram Cochrane. He's an older guy. Mm-hmm. He invents warp drive on the planet Earth. In this one, Zephram Cochrane is not actually from Earth at all. That's a little bit interesting on that. He's from, let me see, I wrote it down, but he's from another planet. He's not actually from Earth. He is from, Antares? So it's a totally different change over there. They changed things here and there. They retconned it, if you will, for the TV show from the TV show to the movie First Contact. The actor who plays Zephram Cochrane is Glenn Corbett. The way they've corrected it, because James Cromwell is tall and thin and looks more haggard than this guy, Stephen Corbett, who plays Zephram Cochrane.
But he's been like stasis.
Yeah,
right?
Well, no, he's saying
young.
that the companion de-aged him and made him younger, this alien being that threw them all to this planet.
You seem perfectly all right now. What was the matter?
I was an old man. Well, I don't know how it did it, but the companion rejuvenated me. Made me young again, like I am now.
So here we are. That's how they explain the differences between the two. I guess I can live with that. But
can I just confirm something here, though?
Sure.
This is the in-canon fate of the Zephram Cochrane from 1996 First Contact.
Yes.
That at some point after going around and being all the accolades and the statue and, piles of money and women, he ends up here.
Yeah, he goes on. He's trying out an experimental warp drive. I believe that's in the James Blish novelizations. And the warp drive he was trying was going super fast, and they never heard from him ever again. Everyone presumed he died. Yeah, and that's also
turned into a salamander.
Right, right, exactly. When he meets Janeway's kids, but no, he disappears. It's also pre-Federation, because when they mention the United Federation of Planets, Kirk mentions that to him when he meets Mr. Cochrane. He's like, the what? I thought that was a nice touch. That also fits neatly into First Contact and into Enterprise, because Zephram Cochrane's appearances are in there.
From the Federation?
Well, it doesn't matter.
That's they always called him an eccentric. He said, like, oh, yeah, they talked about space robot zombies, which was obviously the Borg. Although I don't believe he, actually met them. One of the things I just want to let you know is, because we mentioned it several times, where this alien takes over the dead body, there's this story called Resurrection by A.E. Van Vogt. And also, the Outer Limits episode was called The Second Soul by The Outer Limits in 1995, where aliens take over the dead bodies of humans. So that's something
cool.
Was borrowed later. I don't see how you connect this exactly to the motion picture, but...
What are you talking about?
I don't see it.
I don't see it. What do you mean? The exact same thing happens. V'ger inhabits that bald lady.
But V'ger sends out its essence into the bald lady, which is Ilea. But that's Nomad taking over some. That's the Nomad from the episode The Changeling. That's what the motion picture is. That's not what this is.
No, but this is it takes multiple things.
But it has similar stories.
Matt, it has a love interest be inhabited by a vast ethereal intelligence.
Yes.
It's the exact same. Who dies?
Well, I don't think it dies. It goes into a different dimension, if I recall correctly, from the motion picture. So when
she doesn't. No, she's dead.
Oh, you're talking about Ilea. Yes, Ilea is dead.
Yeah,
but the alien creature didn't kill this woman. She had got a disease from not getting her shots correctly.
But they did it. But they kept her from getting to sick bay, which would have saved her.
Well, the alien kept her from getting to sick bay.
Yes.
Yes.
And then took her body.
Yeah, well, I don't think the alien was aware of that she had some sort of disease. She was just looking because her lover, Zephram,
Lordy.
was lonely. He was lonely.
I told her I'd die of loneliness. I thought it would release me. Instead, it brought you here.
He didn't have anyone to talk to. He only could feel
This is all
his sex
awful,
cloud.
ladies and gentlemen.
You don't like the sex
You know
cloud?
what? Do not watch this episode or our podcast. Delete
What?
it all.
No, Mike.
Yes.
Mike, do I have to send you to the agony booth again? I think I will. That or I'm going to play Finnegan music. So,
No, I've come to like Finnegan. Just tell me, Matt, how many more freakishly sexist episodes are there left in TOS? I know that there are a couple in TNG.
There's a couple more. Don't worry. The next episode's better. I will tell you that much. But there are a couple of things that are neat here. We've got the first seeing of the Universal Translator. Although when they
Oh, yeah.
when they take that out, what's interesting is that the people who fact-checked or science-checked the show did not like this. They said there's a problem with it because the deforest research people were saying, this device just cannot work. It's not translating. It's like using almost psychic powers because, as Kirk says, it recognizes some universal constructs and then speaks to people in the language and the sound of what it perceives the alien or creature is. In this situation, it makes the sex cloud into a female, and it understands languages. But the researchers saying that doesn't work. But, however, Gene Kuhn told the Pete Sloman, who works for DeForest Research Group, he goes, look, he's basically said, we don't want it to be authentic. We want the show to look authentic. That's why they used miles as opposed to kilometers, because that was another issue. It's you don't think by now in the 23rd century we'd be using kilometers as opposed to imperial measure? Things are in miles and pounds.
Well, also, come on, relax. There's also absolutely zero potential that a transporter would work.
You don't know that. I saw The Fly. But
Suicide machine as well, And by the way, it really doesn't bother me. Did you ever hear of the in-universe explanation in Hitchhiker's Guide of the Galaxy? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm turning into my captain.
What?
Here. Old tongue-tied Ross.
Who are you again?
The Babelfish.
Yes.
Did you ever hear that explanation for it?
Yes, it feeds off of your psychic energies while living inside your ear. Yes, I knew that one.
Yes, and poops out conscious energy.
Yes.
I'm all right, listen, what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
That's not so bad.
But I kind of think that the Universal Translator is an idea. If you take a look at our phones now, like the
Sure.
AI on our phones, before it destroys us one day, it can translate different languages. Maybe something like that. Hoshi Sato in the episodes of Enterprise was able to make the database because she was just able to pick up on languages. So maybe it's a combination of AI and database that are pushed together to explain things. Maybe it picks up on vibration and sound for the cloud thing. By the way, what did you think of the cloud itself? That special effect.
I thought it was good. I thought it was pretty good. I'm pretty sure I'm positive I was watching the remastered version. But no complaints. Looks cute.
Yeah, it's.
It did its all right. Good. I am curious what else it was up against.
Nominated for an Emmy. Excuse me. I thought it was actually excellent work for that cloud thing. It reminds me of Jello. But
wait, what was the Emmy? Special effects?
Yeah, in special effects. That's visual effects. That's what that was.
What else was on at the time?
Route 66, where Glenn Corbett came from. There were war shows, things like that. Mannix. So you have other TV shows, Mission Impossible. So practical effects. Yeah, but let's just get back to this story. I don't like this story. I gotta just be honest. I'm just gonna lay it out.
Thank God.
The alien brings these people that it sees because it's worried that its lover that it's kept alive indefinitely all this time is suddenly now has decided that the man, as the alien creature calls Zephram, was going to die of loneliness. He's been there for over 150 years. Why now? Why suddenly? That's my question. Why did the Cloud think it needed humans or anybody near it? That's a good question. What did you think about that in general? I mean, do you think that was a big hole on this? I think so. No. Yes.
No, that was okay because again, maybe it was looking for people for a long time. Maybe it got lucky that they happened to be passing through his sector. That didn't bother me as much. Again, I mean, did it know that there was a woman on there?
No.
Okay, so what if they were like, all right, here's a handsome man. You like men, don't you? It's like, what? No, I'm not. I'm a heterosexual.
Yeah, but
it's like, oh, yes, of course. Well, I guess we'll just throw these fish back.
Yeah, well, you know what? The Cloud does make that kind of an allusion to that, saying, like, he just needs his kind. I don't really care who's there. So he took all for him because he can't tell that Spock is not a human. Spock is a Vulcan, as we all know. So that's a difference over there. The woman just having to be aboard, I think that was just done to have it like a safe TV where you have the binary man-woman relationship there. I think that's what that was done. I mean, one of the issues that NBC had always had is like the alternative factor was actually supposed to be the black engineer going off with Lazarus, and NBC went all at Twitter because they were worried that the South it wouldn't play well. They were also worried about religious input that this could happen in here. But I have to say one of the things I have another problem with on this episode is that Zephram Cochrane suddenly feels dirty after living with this creature when it realizes that the creature loves him. I don't know. I don't buy that either.
That thing fed on me, used me. It's disgusting. There's nothing disgusting about it. It's just another life form, that's all. You get used to those things.
Me neither,
sir. It's just a waste of time. Also, the creature like attacking Spock as he's trying to fix the shuttlecraft. That's kind of bizarre. I don't know. You recall that? Like Spock goes out to fix the shuttlecraft, and then the thing just attacks Spock as he reaches out to like touch it, and makes the shuttlecraft catch on fire. You wonder, like, well, they later fly away. So what do? They fix everything? Is that how it works? I don't know.
I mean, you know, they're Starfleet engineers. They're all brilliant.
I guess.
Who knows? That didn't bother me too much. You know, and also, weren't they they were close enough to Scotty that they were communicating with him?
No,
Scotty being a boss as usual.
Well, Scotty was a boss, but this is like, by the way, one of the episodes where Kirk is not on the Enterprise. Neither is Spock or McCoy, but he wasn't communicating with them at all until the very last scene in this episode. So basically, that's it. The alien takes them down. Our Enterprise crew's first attempt to hurt the creature by using electricity, and that's one of the weirder lines here. McCoy says to Kirk, you know, you've been a soldier for so long. Why don't you try talking with the aliens? Like, Kirk has already talked to other aliens before in warlike situations. To me, it didn't play to form of the captain. He was more of a militant or militaristic than a diplomat in this episode. Although you could say in, you know, the ones with the Organians that he said, I'm a soldier, not a diplomat. I'm almost out of anything to say here. They get there to the planet. They find Zefram Cochrane. They're like, wow, you are the guy who invented the warp drive. And then...
Meaning nothing. It means nothing.
Well, what do you think of that? I want to jump to First Contact for a second. Zefram Cochrane invents the warp drive, but they don't have dilithium. So what did they use? Giant rubber bands?
I didn't build this ship to usher in a new era for humanity. You think I want to go to the stars? I don't even like to fly. I take trains.
Radiation?
Well, I mean,
Who knows?
No. I mean, listen, from my understanding is that what you need for a warp drive is antimatter matter. So maybe he was able to cobble together just the antimatter matter reaction, and that was enough to go, like, you know, warp. All he had to do was like warp 0.1 or warp 1, right?
Look at that. He can be taught, kids.
Yeah. So whatever. It doesn't. And by the way, as we all know, it is not only dilithium that allows one to travel at the speed of warp. Just ask any Romulan with their little black holes.
Yeah, unless you watch Star Trek Discovery and everyone forgets that. But I'm not going to badmouth Discovery. Discovery can do that well enough on its own.
Sure.
I will tell you.
The point is,
yes.
obviously, warp is a speed. It's not a method of speed.
It's a state of mind. Well, let's talk about some other things that I like. What about the house? I kind of like that house. Where
I like the house. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of some Twilight Zone episodes.
But you know what's funny is that Matt Jeffrey said he got it from reading like an old magazine that had like where it was actually based on a gas station from the 1920s. But
Ooh, very nice.
I liked it, even though it looks more Art Deco-y to me. I also like I actually like Nancy Hedford, who's played by Eleanor Donahue. She was actually in from Father Knows Best and the Andy Griffith Show. That's where she was from. She said she had a great time. She thought that Nimoy was aloof. She thought Shatner was a little superior at first because she felt that Shatner thought that Donahue was too comedic for the role.
What?
Yeah, she thought that he was.
She was
superior.
taking it. She was serious as a heart attack.
Yeah. What's interesting, although she played a comedian, one of the reasons why she got the role is as well. Yeah, everyone thought she'd be perfect for it. She had a serious impact on it, but she also helped that she was married to the vice president of CBS, Harvey Ackerman.
Oh.
So that's how she got the job, but also because she knew Gene Roddenberry. And Gene Roddenberry had said, "Let's get her," and he pushed his personal connections. Now, the voice of the companion you've heard before. Do you recognize it? Because I mentioned it to you a couple episodes again.
How can we communicate?
You know who it is?
No, sir.
It's Elizabeth Rogers, otherwise known as Lieutenant Palmer. That's Uhura's replacement in the Doomsday Machine. So she's the voice coming through the Universal Translator. So I like that. I still like it.
Cool.
I like that.
Great.
So there you go. Yeah. There's really not too much else to be said about this episode. That's really...
No, and it was a weird thing where it's like it didn't drag. You know, a lot of these episodes where there's not too much to say, it just like drags, and it's like, and it's a series of and then. You know, did you ever hear that writing, that whole thing in writing where, you know, you're not supposed to say, you're supposed to, like, whenever there's a question, it's supposed to be because. This happens because of this. This happens because of this. As opposed to and then.
Yeah.
So this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens.
Yeah, like John Hershey's
so
description of Hiroshima. Yes. The book
there
Hiroshima.
There have definitely been plenty of episodes where it was just and then. This wasn't one of that. It flowed well, but the story was stupid and bad and had a tone-deaf message and was written by psychopath men's rights activists.
Oh, my goodness.
Who apparently never had a daughter, were never in love with a strong woman, and were the incels of 1966.
Well, I think you're going off the rails there, XO. I don't think that's the case.
It
wasn't bad. The actresses like the story. It is a love story. It's a story of accepting people of differences. So it does have an actually anti-racist point. There's a really good speech by Kirk in there about what people need to be happy.
You take away all obstacles. Without them to strengthen us, we will weaken and die.
They're about how people need to be free, but the idea is also that you should you can't just judge a person based on what they look like to experience love. I think that's a very nice message in there. I think you're taking it from a 2024 or 20s perspective, but that's okay. You're a product of your age, Mr. Pontone. So it's not...
No, I'm not. I'm a centrist, man. I really am not. You know, I believe in reality and critical thinking. I am not a zealot in either direction. I despise the far right and left. But this was bad, man.
Well, it's not the greatest story, but I don't think it's about sexism in the least bit. I hear what you're saying, that the woman has to die, but in a sense they joined to become more than one to try and live out their lives. The companion loves Zephram Cochrane for whatever reason. It's not like based on looks at first. Although, you know, Mr. Corbett is a handsome man. In fact, he was in the TV show Route 66 as a replacement for a character. He is a handsome gentleman, but that's got nothing to do with it. the character, the companion, loves him for whatever it is that they get from each other, which is, for him, he might thinking short term, like I'm alive and it keeps me warm and safe and I can grow food, but he also enjoys it for whatever reason, and the companion enjoys the companionship, if you will, of Zephram Cochrane. I don't think that's a sexist message at all, regardless of how you see the ending. I think the companion wants to spend time with Zephram in a way that they could communicate more with each other. I think that's a lovely message overall. So I have to disagree with you on that.
She kills a woman to get it.
She doesn't kill her. The woman was dying as it is. The woman...
She keeps the woman from getting vital, life-saving medical care.
But we already said the companion didn't know that A, there was a woman on there, and B, that the woman had some sort of disease on it. That aside,
Okay,
I still agree that the story is terrible. I will tell you one of the last things that I like in this is that at one point when they realize that the companion is now part of Commissioner Hedford, I like that little scene where Donahue takes up her scarf and holds it in front of her eyes to look at Zephram Cochrane, kind of thinking back to what she was like when she was the Cloud, seeing Zephram Cochrane through that kind of veil. I kind of thought that was a neat thing. That's really much my last bit of what I think is actually nice on this. You know what I'm talking about towards the end? She holds up the scarf to look through, because that's what that's actually what the companion's based off of, is a scarf. So that's what the special effects did. They saw this and said, I have an idea, and they used that. I do like that. By the way, Shatner did warm to Donahue, and they had like a barbecue lunch a lot of times.
Cool.
With Shatner, Nimoy, Kelly, and Donahue. They would have barbecue lunches all the time. That was nice. There was also a scene that was cut out that explained that this alien came from an advanced society, and that there were, but that was cut out. What are you gonna do? I
always like that, but that was also implied. I mean, I always like that. I enjoy episodes where they're tooling around and they find, just advanced life forms that are kind of beyond the scope or understanding of people. Mm-hmm. But we've had a few of those.
Right. Oh, by the way, I made a mistake in my sentence. It's that Zephram Cochrane is actually from Alpha Centauri, not from Antares. Excuse me, everyone. Don't write angry messages. So Alpha Centauri. That's a kind of a big difference between Earth and Alpha Centauri, although it is our next door neighbor, allegedly. I would think that's a big distance. Whatever. It's interesting. I will tell you that I think we should just tell you how much this costs. Would you like to guess how much this costs? Let me guess.
Yes. So we have the full cast. We had some pretty good optical effects, and we had the ship and the planet and some guest stars. Oh, yeah, and the guy is pretty handsome. He had some piercing blue eyes. Pretty amazing. I'm going to say $219,000.
Wow. You're way off this time. This actually cost in 1967 dollars. This cost $198,493. It was still over budget. Remember, Star Trek is budgeted for $185,000, and to put it in perspective, in 2024 dollars, that's $1,873,265.55, and they were over budget by $126,837.85 in 2024 dollars. That's a lot of money they went overboard on this. You've got the cloud special effects. You have the shuttlecraft, which they reused. They had that whole set with the purple lighting. One of the neat things, so there are clouds around them. That was accomplished by, they had everyone hold their position, and then they had people come in with bee smokers and smoke the air. That's how they did that. And then they would say, just smoke out bees from their hives. So I think that's actually pretty cool. I really didn't have a problem with this thing being feminine, but let's go into our final ratings here, and we can talk about just a couple other things. But on our very scientific...
Okay, listen, I will say...
Well, hold on. You
want to go first?
No, I was just going to say, on our very scientific 1 to 10 scale, Mike, what are you going to give this? episode.
Okay, so here's the thing. I liked the acting. I actually liked the setup. I just hated the ending. And I thought the visual effects were great, and obviously there was a fair amount of love and care. That being said, the story was pointless, and the conclusion was awful, and it was tone deaf. So its morality was completely off. It's like if you showed me a story and like the characters all thought it was great to like torture puppies or something. It's like, isn't it great that we're torturing puppies?
Wait, that's wrong.
So, okay, I saw that coming a million miles away. Anyway, all to say, for that reason, I'm giving it a 4.
Wow. Guess what? I, too, am giving it a 4. This is not one of the ones...
Great minds.
Yep. I will not sit down and say, oh, yes, it's on. I mean, if it's on, it's on because I forgot to hit the skip episode button on my remote, or it's on regular TV. It just happens to be on. It's not one of my favorites. There are a lot of things in it I do like the universal translator. I like the way the companion looks. I don't like the idea of leaving Zephram Cochrane alone on an alien planetoid with this alien being there. Not that that's so wrong, but just kind of leaving him there. It's almost like burying Captain Kirk in a mound of rocks and leaving the body there at the end of Generations.
Yeah.
Why would you do that, And
well, he didn't stay there for long, Captain.
well, yeah, I know. It's kind of pointless, this episode. It does have its sweet moments, like I said. I do like the messaging of that you can't judge a book by its cover, essentially. But it's just the sex cloud thing. I don't know. That's all I keep thinking about is that Zephram Cochrane losing his temper, like, what? This thing's been using me? It was just, to me, I found it slow. I did like the way it looks. I do like the acting. I do like the Kirk speech about how humanity needs to have companionship to survive and not just kind of live in a void type of thing. But overall, it's just not for me. So there we have it. Both 4s on this one. So,
well, listen. Speaking of automatic plays going forward, I watched 30 seconds of the next episode, and I'm pretty excited.
That's
because I love, low-key, I'm going to get into spoilers, Sarek is one of my favorite secondary characters in Star Trek. I dig him. I love his relationship with his son. And it has one of my favorite lines in all of Star Trek is done by Sarek. You know which one it is? From Star Trek 4?
Well, yes, I do know it, but let's save that for next episode. Our next episode is Journey to Babel. It's actually one of my favorite episodes. It's way better than this one. It introduces many interesting concepts of Star Trek, and it really hones in on that Federation, and we get to meet aliens that we haven't seen before, regardless of how the costuming looks. And it's still, I think the story actually holds up very well, and you actually get a sense of Federation. But we'll come to that in our next episode of Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies. Anything else you want to mention out there, Mike?
Nope. Captain, thank you very much for coming to cheer me on at my very painful, awful, hot, embarrassing marathon.
It was great, Mike. You did excellent. Stop being so hard on yourself.
There were solid grains of salt coming off my
that's true.
My skin.
I did.
And
Nancy Crater did find you delicious. I will tell you that much.
Oh, and Captain made a very nice poster with Gowron,
yes,
slain by Worf.
That's why, and also I could have put on the Hello Kitty. I mean, Hello Kitty does turn 50 this year. That's why I put that on our community page. The Kitty Prize and the Klingon Battle. But I will tell you, those who haven't seen it, Lower Decks Season 5 is finally out. We also had the unfortunate passing of Jerry Taylor, one of the original writers of Voyager and TNG, and she was also in DS9. That's very sad, actually. But
great woman.
Yeah, great all the way around in Star Trek. It's a shame that she's passed, and so we tip our hats to her and give her a hearty farewell, and thanks for all the entertainment, even though now she can't actually hear us, but she will be missed.
Still.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's hope she's sailing through the stars on the way to a Genesis planet.
Something like that. With the great bird of the galaxy guide her way. But anyway, that's basically it. If you do like what we're doing here, feel free to write us at yellingatgas@gmail.com and Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification on YouTube, and join us in all of our podcatchers out there. And don't forget to go to our TeePublic store. Again, it's at Yelling at Gaseous Anomalies, and buy a T-shirt. Yeah, so go get something.
Why not?
Yeah.
Surprise us.
Surprise us.
After a year.
Get some things. We're coming up to our year anniversary. We'll have to do something special.
Woot woot.
Maybe we'll do something
Yes, perhaps you get to see our faces.
Well, I mean,
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
They have seen our faces. But, maybe they'll see us live on the next one, or a one coming up down the line. But again, our next episode is Journey to Babel. And I think that's all. Thanks again, Mike, for joining us. And,
thank you, Captain.
All right.
Pleasure as always.
And as always, everyone, live long and prosper, and see you out there.
And you people, you're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.